Don't skip, I'll show you 8 categories of people in this unique video that we shouldn't assist. The final one will surprise you, but before we begin, please make a payment. Pay great attention to this story, because it will be crucial that you comprehend. The video's most important lesson is that there once was a farmer named Joe who lived in a tiny community where Joe was well known for his generosity and willingness to. In his field, he once discovered a snake caught in a snare and decided to help it. Pedro felt sorry for the snake despite its danger and chose to release it. Joe looked after the snake, providing it with food and a secure haven in which to heal. But as soon as the snake recovered, it bit Joe and slithered off, leaving Joe injured. And to our astonishment, discovered that the snake would always bite, regardless of the assistance it received. This tale tells us that certain individuals, like snakes, do not always alter their character we can choose to disregard the warning signs and end up harmed. Thus, it's important to be aware of the people we assist and recognize that not everyone will find Make an attempt to visualize your energy as a battery that certain people recharge. Others use up its energy more quickly than a phone with 100 active apps. If this seems familiar, let's investigate these energy vampires and the importance of identifying them before approaching the first kind of person you meet. If you find value, to stay updated, kindly click the bell and subscribe to these videos. Let's start with the ungrateful. Have you ever encountered someone who, regardless of how much you give them, always appear to want more and seem to have a black hole in place of a heart, are never content? Imagine yourself and your buddies having a wonderful dinner at a restaurant, when all of a sudden you hear someone complaining loudly about everything from the cuisine to the service to the color of the napkins. It's the professional ingrate in action, as you suspected. But why do some people seem to be unhappy all the time? Psychology offers some intriguing explanations, a research suggests. According to the University of California, those who have poor self-esteem are typically less thankful, that they seem to have a filter that only allows the bad things to get through, preventing them from experiencing all of life's positive things. We're not advocating severing relationships with people who neglect to mention thank you. However, it's critical to identify instances in which someone persistently violates your compassion. As well-known businessman Richard Branson has observed, treat your staff members the way you would like to be treated. Best clients, we might apply this guidance to any connection we consider. Since appreciation is a plant that needs care and watering to flourish, give it water frequently. Perhaps it's time to devote your time, energy and resources to a plant that never blossoms. Consider if you're growing in the wrong garden, but be cautious not to mistakenly associate appreciation with positive. To tell you the truth, a friend who informs you before a big date that you have spinach in your teeth isn't a jerk. The distinction between a hero wearing a cape and one without is in the goal and manner of conduct. An intriguing investigation that was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology showed that individuals are not. Not only are they happy, but their relationships seem to be stronger and more enduring as well. Gratitude is the unseen bonding agent that keeps our social relationships intact. What should we do with these individuals now? The answer is complex, but positive psychology offers some guidance. According to Martin Seligman, who is regarded as the founder of this field of psychology, developing thankfulness helps both the giver and the recipient, so rather than becoming angry with ungrateful people, we could use them as a chance to improve ourselves. The capacity to recognize the positive aspects of life, similar to going to the gym, but for our thankfulness muscle. But let's distinguish between the two. Bottomless pit establishing appropriate limits is just as crucial as being, as author Brené Brown previously observed, kindness is not limitless, and it isn't genuine kindness if it stems from bitterness. Keep in mind their lack of As psychologist Carl Rogers once observed, the curious paradox is that thankfulness says more about them than it does about you, that I can change if I embrace who I am, so the next time you, when faced with an unworthy person, take a moment to appreciate your value and ask yourself, if the response is no, it's acceptable to take a break. Does this individual worth my energy? Take a step back. You're engaging in self-care. You're not being selfish. If you choose to carry on volunteering, do it because you truly want to, rather than because you. As the philosopher Immanuel Kant once stated, act in such a way that you can expect recognition. Utilize humanity at all times in yourself and in others, simultaneously as a goal and never just as a means. Let's move on to the second kind of individual we ought not to assist. Number 2, the lazy. Have you ever encountered someone who appears to be allergic to effort? Those who constantly utilize the couch and the remote as an excuse to put off doing anything, extend their hand to manipulate it. Welcome to the wonderful world of those indolent masters of the art of doing nothing who provide important knowledge to us concerning productivity or the absence of it. Imagine yourself in a professional setting and you heard someone say, "My cat ate my report, so I couldn't finish it." Motivation, you guessed it, is the deed of a professional slacker. However, why do some individuals appear to have a PhD in procrastination? Destination science. Some intriguing findings from a University of Calgary study suggest that laziness may really be an evolutionary tactic for energy conservation, similar to what our caveman predecessors gave us the option to save energy or batteries, gene, but in a future where avoiding predators doesn't need us to conserve energy, this tactic can become counterproductive. William James, a psychologist, once remarked, is as exhausting as the eternal clinging to an unfinished duty, and he was. According to a study that was published in the journal, effective procrastination has an impact on both our productivity and mental health. Psychology science discovered that habitual procrastinators experience higher stress levels and lower health general, but our sluggish pals are not without hope. As renowned physicist Albert Laziness, according to Einstein, is the mother of all inventions. While he probably said that to avoid having to comb his hair, but he does have a point. Sometimes it's necessary to avoid labor, can result in original and creative ideas. Therefore, how can we find a chronically indolent individual? Here are a few red flags from the king of excuses. These people have more excuses in their lives than a cat has. I couldn't exercise because my plant required my singing in order for it to flourish is only the tip of the iceberg. 2. The expert in for them, tomorrow is a fantastical realm where all of their unfinished business is gathered. Spoiler alert. 3. The multitasking character from Tomorrow Never Comes Now. They can simultaneously browse Instagram, watch Netflix, and whine about their jobs. If they devoted that energy to useful endeavors, they very likely would have addressed global warming by nowadays. The shortcut seeker is constantly looking for the simplest method to do tasks. They would be the first to download an app to breathe for you if there was one. The alarm clock is just 5 minutes away for them. A cordial recommendation. They say, give it 5 more minutes, and before they know it, we're not advocating that you break up with somebody who would rather take a sleep than work out because an hour has gone. But keep in mind that hanging around with slothful people runs the potential of making us the sore. Jim had a business and was a motivational author. He was a thumb in the hand of goofs. Stated that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so be careful who you surround yourself with. May become the lone tooth in a mouth full of most motivational cavities. Let's move on to the third kind of the third individual is careless. Have you ever met someone like that? Welcome to the intriguing universe of the person who appears to exist in a world without repercussions. Careless people who are skilled at breaking promises and putting the blame on everyone but themselves think you are on a boat, when all of a sudden you see that the hull has a hole in it and water is beginning to flood in as you and the crew struggle mightily to seal the opening and remove the water. You notice someone stating, "It's not my day," while relaxing on the terrace. Issue. I was unable to create the gap where my friend's reckless behavior was. When we attempt to assist someone who exhibits this behavior pattern in their native setting, we frequently find ourselves in an annoying cycle, despite our best efforts to assist them. Rarely does our assistance lead to meaningful advancement, that the careless avoid duties and possess an almost perfect capacity to place the blame for their own mistakes on others when things goes wrong. Even if it has nothing to do with our action, we could wind up being named as the offenders, which is not only unjust but can also take a considerable emotional and reputational costs for those who attempt to assist as a result. When interacting with individuals that behave in this manner, caution must be exercised. How an efficient approach is to get people to consider the implications of their choices and not focus on finding solutions to their issues. We can help them learn how to assess and manage themselves. Abilities. Richard Davidson, a neurologist, has demonstrated that the brain is extraordinarily. Although they are mature, plastic may still change and adapt, therefore there is yet hope. May require, as Nelson Mandela famously observed, a prodding or possibly an elephant-sized shove. The most effective tool you have to alter the world in this situation is education. In context, education, academic knowledge is not the only thing that is taught. To take on responsibility, grow from errors, and ultimately deal with being around careless individuals is a test of patience and self-control, because according to philosopher Bertrand Russell, a large portion of the world's problems stem from the ignorance of people. Indeed, the wise are full of uncertainties, so the next time you're faced with a persistent idiotic, take a deep breath and remind yourself that at least you are intelligent enough to question if you should. In conclusion, even if it is noble to help others, there is a limit to how much you can do. And that boundary usually starts when the other person utilizes your generosity as a comfort blanket for their sloth. So instead of becoming irritated, see this as a chance to practice the gracious but firm no. After all, sometimes before going on to the fourth category, the best approach to help someone is to not help them at all. Please remember to like and subscribe to the video if you're enjoying it. The channel with the bell if you like this and want to make sure you don't miss any more videos. Kind of content. But even so, I adore wisdom, so let's continue to learn. Collectively and enhancing our lives. Number 4. This group of manipulators offers a special challenge because they are genuine artists at the craft of manipulating the goodwill of others, taking advantage of honest efforts to further their own interests. Imagine yourself playing chess and having no purpose of reciprocity or genuine improvement. It feels like your opponent has the enigmatic ability to move your pieces without you realizing. The hands of an expert manipulator, but fear not. Today we'll learn how to acknowledge their strategies and protect ourselves against their ingenuity. But why do certain people seem to possess a doctorate in manipulative psychology and some intriguing results from a study carried out by researchers at Stanford University, possessing Machiavellian and narcissistic characteristics, are more prone to control others? They seem to feature an inbuilt GPS system that is set to find the quickest route to their own interests, regardless of the people they must inconvenience in the process. We're not advocating that you should put on a tinfoil hat, be suspicious of everyone, but it's crucial to build a radar to identify the sentimental pirates. As renowned psychologist Robert Cialdini formerly stated that information is your best weapon against manipulation. Consider your manipulators use emotional well-being as a stronghold. similar to invaders attempting to penetrate your defenses. If you don't have a strong security setup, they will soon be seated in your "how can we identify a living room when you're eating nachos and using your life's remote control?" Here are some warning indicators of a skilled manipulator on the emotional chameleons are unique to each individual and can alter their personalities more quickly than teenagers can change their moods, adjusting to what they believe the other person wants to see too. The expert in gaslighting, they cause you to question whether you truly believe what you are seeing. In my opinion, your memory is playing tricks on you. Tricks on you 3, the sniper of self-worth. They seem innocent, yet their remarks make you doubt yourself. Oh, I assume you're going to wear that nicely. If so, let's go on to the 5th. The perpetual critic is the kind of person who has a talent for identifying defects in anything or everything, from your attire to the way you plan your time wisely, as they will always find fault with you. Them can be as simple as listening in on their talks. Their remarks are typically damaging and unfavorable instead of rather than helpful. If this seems familiar, you may be dealing with a persistent critic. Be like negotiating an emotional minefield. No matter how sincere your attempts, something will always come up. Method to destroy them with their scathing critiques, which resemble blades. But why are they? According to studies like this one, persistent critics frequently utilize criticism as a means of exerting control or authority over. It's as if they had special glasses that only allow them to project their own fears onto others, or even to project others' fears onto recognize the shortcomings in everything in order to mitigate their detrimental effects. Keep a neutral viewpoint and resist the need to take their comments personally. Frequently talk more about themselves than about you. Most so attempt to nudge the conversation in the direction of productive or positive. Sometimes the best way to counter their verbal daggers is to simply change the subject. Recall that while constructive criticism can be beneficial for personal development, persistent criticism merely damages confidence and erodes self-worth by setting limits and keeping an optimistic outlook. You may shield yourself from their detrimental impact and promote a more upbeat and productive atmosphere surrounding you. 6th, how many narcissists have you ever encountered? Hi there, and welcome to the interesting world of narcissists. For someone who appears to have a mirror instead of a soul. For those who have reached the pinnacle of self-love, picture yourself trying to fill the Grand Canyon with a glass of. That's how pointless it might be to attempt to appease the ego of a narcissist. But don't reassured that you are not traveling alone on this adventure by Indiana. Around 6% of people at universities have severe narcissistic characteristics, so you're definitely familiar with a few from your daily life. But how do we identify these self-advocates with ease? If you've ever met someone who thinks that the sun rises only to show off their face, you're most likely dealing with a narcissist these days. People have the amazing capacity to convert any discussion into a diatribe about their accomplishments. No matter how little their current situation may seem, dealing with a narcissist can be more tiresome than attempting to train a cat to bark. But don't give up because there are techniques you can use. Rethinking Narcissism. Author Dr. Craig Malin advises, Malin argues that setting up boundaries is more important than trying to change the narcissist. Selective validation, as psychologists refer to it, is a successful strategy that involves altering how you engage with somebody. In essence, it's similar to training a dog in that when the narcissist exhibits a positive behavior, you reward it and overlook the negative. A hint of empathy. Yes, it does happen occasionally. However, when they begin their customary round of self-promotion, resist the urge to join in because you are not required to see their one-person performance in captivity as the actress bet. The ego, according to Midler, is like a ravenous octopus that eats your life. Don't be cautious not to mix the narcissist in your life with that octopus. The distinction between narcissism and healthy confidence is the latter's capacity for empathy and ongoing desire for admiration. A confident individual can sincerely celebrate the accomplishments of others, whereas a narcissist only sees those triumphs as a danger to their own magnificence. In other words, managing a narcissist can be difficult, but it can also a chance to grow in tolerance and compassion, and who knows, maybe even gain some knowledge. Oscar Wilde once remarked, "Know yourself and watch how others behave." Others rank seventh, the opportunists. Picture yourself with someone who always appears to be lurking, seeking any chance to profit at the expense of others, no matter the consequences. This person is an opportunist who is skilled at seizing, using resources or kindness of others without asking anything in return. They may appear pleasant and amiable, save for their own convenience, but beneath that exterior is an opportunistic, a mindset that can erode trust in any kind of relationship. So let's not get confused about the distinction between an opportunist and someone who actually needs assistance is in the, as psychologist Harriet Breaker previously stated, opportunists are characterized by a pattern of action and reciprocity. Are masters at making you feel bad when you fall short of their standards, but it can be difficult to spot an opportunist. A crucial indicator of their genuine aims, which they frequently conceal under a cooperative facade, is the absence of reciprocity. They usually ask for assistance, but hardly ever give back or work cooperatively, subtly manipulating others using flattery or ambiguous promises to achieve their goals. They are constantly there when there are advantages, but vanish when there isn't a true commitment to contribute. When confronting an opportunist takes effort or sacrifice on their behalf, entails defining limits with clarity, being conscious of your own resources and personal boundaries. It's important to establish clear guidelines right away regarding what you are prepared to give and what you anticipate receiving in return. Cultivating reciprocity is also essential. Encourage the opportunity to fairly contribute in relationships, whether by sharing obligations or clearly outlining jobs and expectations. From a psychological standpoint, opportunists exhibit a mix of low empathy, and studies on human behavior with a high degree of opportunism suggest that some personalities are more likely to adopt deceitful actions to further their own agendas without thinking about how their actions may affect others. By knowing how to recognize and deal with opportunists so that you can safeguard your emotional integrity and sustain relationships that are healthier and more equitable. It is true that giving and receiving is essential to a happy relationship. However, as you understand that it's time to think again if you are providing all the time and getting nothing in return. The circumstance wherein one expends attention and effort on those who do not respect or value your involvement may be emotionally and physically taxing, so it's best to direct that energy toward partnerships that are more fulfilling and equitable, where both parties benefit from your activities. Acknowledged and appreciated, therefore let's move on to the last category of persons we shouldn't assist. Envious, number 8. Imagine yourself becoming envious. Who you would notify first if you won the lotto before you began having mental. Allow me to share with you a fascinating information based on a study that was done. According to Harvard University, 70% of lottery winners see a decline in the primary cause of their personal relationships following their victory is envy. Yet you don't have to earn millions of dollars to feel the destructive power of envy. From that new job promotion to that new, the jealous are always waiting, ready to launch their poisonous darts of jealousy at a relationship that has you on cloud 9. Why do some people become more prone to envy than others? In her book, The Philosophy of Envy, psychologist Sarah Prasad contends that comes when we feel there is a disconnect between what we have and what we think we should have. It's as though we have an internal. When someone else obtains something we believe is rightfully ours, the cosmic justice counter goes crazy. Yet here's the fascinating aspect. Envy isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it may be a strong inspiration. As the renowned inventor Thomas Edison once stated, "You need with a little creativity and a ton of rubbish to replace the envy. You can have a recipe for success or failure based on how it is handled. The crucial element is how we react to envy in others as well as ourselves." And this is where one of the greatest paradoxical yet practical advice is put into practice to maintain your achievements and plans hidden. You heard correctly. In this day and age, it appears that if you don't, I'm advising you do the exact opposite because, well, let me tell you a secret. It didn't happen that you shared it on social media. When you reveal your goals to others before they're ready, you're acting ironically. Creates dopamine, the same chemical that is released when a goal is truly accomplished. This might cause you to feel deceived. Feeling of achievement decreasing your drive to proceed, don't accept my. According to a study published in the magazine, Science confirms this. Psychological science discovered that 70% of respondents said they kept their aspirations a secret. Greater chance of achieving them than those who disseminated them extensively. It's as if the more you discuss your dreams with the cosmos, the more twisted its sense of humor becomes. The more you disclose your plans, the less likely it is that they will come to pass. You're addressing not just your own psyche but also that of other people, because as author Gore Vidal famously said, this is when our jealous buddies come into play. Declared, "I die a bit every time a friend succeeds. Double that by every individual you disclose your PL to, and you'll be able to gauge how much negativity you may be drawing in without." When we realize this, do we retreat inside ourselves and hold on to everything of our accomplishments for ourselves, not precisely? Being selective, but as businessman Richard Branson once advised, follow your gut. Think carefully about the people you share your dreams with. Plans as a trade secret that you wouldn't divulge to just anybody, right? Those you know and really trust will not only not disclose it, but will enable you to make it better. Now, here's the secret. When you do decide to share your goals or accomplishments, do it in a way that makes one envious rather than jealous, rather than saying, "I just got a wonderful advancement." Try expressing your excitement for this next task at work. The distinction might not appear noticeable, but the influence on how other people view your news can be significant. Now, let's return to our, for a brief while, jealous friends. How do we recognize them? Here are some caution signals. The reluctant praise giver, making their congrats sound more like a tea at a vegan meal than a forced one for the professional minimizer. Your success, no matter how great, will always be luck or unimportant to them. 3. The obsessive rival. Your achievement is merely a reason for them to tell you how they completed the task more quickly or efficiently for the coft. In public, they support you, yet behind closed doors, they work tirelessly to thwart your intentions. Collectors, who never stop asking for more information, not because they genuinely want to know, but the first step in fixing any defects or copying you is to identify these tendencies. The first is self-defense, the second is adopting what I refer to as an oyster mindset. What is the process by which oysters turn an irritation into pearls? In the same way that you may take other people's jealousy and turn it into inspiration to never stop developing and getting better, because your worth never goes down, as author Mark Twain once stated, neither does it grow because of others' successes, nor does it decrease because of their misfortunes. Comparison steals joy. Instead, concentrate on your own journey, your own objectives, and your personal development. Envy frequently reflects the insecurity of others, as Eleanor Roosevelt. It was once said that no one can make you feel less than them without your permission. Therefore, the next time you see someone jealous, someone's smile indicates that you are on the correct track, not because you love their discomfort. Track. To sum up, choosing who with whom to share your accomplishments and plans with is about safeguarding your interests rather than being conceited or egocentric. Energy to keep you motivated and, certainly, to safeguard yourself against philosopher Bertrand Russell famously remarked, "Toxic envy. Don't care about what. When other people think of you, they don't care as much as you think, so the next time hearing great news or an exciting idea, take a deep breath, smile, and continue. Keep it as a treasure and only show it to people you know will truly be thrilled for you." Keep in mind that the greatest kind of success is the one that doesn't require announcement. Let your accomplishment speak for itself following every move you do. Talk is louder than words, and if you've made it this far, you'll undoubtedly attract less envy. Please make sure to leave your mark by putting "calm mind" in the comments section below. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you found these thoughts insightful. I want to share with you something quite amazing that NASA scientists have discovered. Created the groundbreaking 7-minute audio program known as Genius Wave, which aids with realize the potential of your mind and visualize drawing prosperity and contentment. With ease, Nelson, one of our subscribers, renewed their connection. You use this incredible tool to find out how you got a raise at work can change your life as well.